Jake Martinez stood on the bridge of the Earthship Liberty. He looked out at the stars through the big window. Today was his first day as a diplomat. His job was to meet alien beings and make peace with them. "Ready for transport, Lieutenant." "Commander?" asked Captain Lisa Romano. She was a tough woman with short black hair. Jake had known her for 3 years. Jake nodded. "Yes, Captain. The Xylorians said they want to talk. This could be big for Earth." The transport beam started to glow around Jake. He felt the strange, tingling feeling as his body turned into light. The last thing he saw was Captain Romano's worried face. But something went wrong. Instead of appearing in the meeting room like planned, Jake found himself in a different place. The room was made of blue crystal that glowed softly. Strange symbols floated in the air like magic. Beautiful music played from nowhere. Then Jake saw her. A tall alien woman stood in the center of the room. She had purple skin that sparkled with tiny lights. Her hair was white and moved like it was underwater. She had no clothes on. The alien woman turned around and saw Jake. Her large golden eyes went wide with shock. The lights under her skin started flashing red and orange. She made a sound like singing mixed with a scream. Jake quickly turned his head away. His face turned red. "Sorry, I'm really sorry. This wasn't supposed to happen," the alien woman covered herself with her arms. She spoke, but not with her mouth. Jake heard her voice inside his head. "What are you? How did you get here? Your mind... I cannot read it." Jake kept his eyes looking at the floor. "I'm human. From Earth. There was an accident with the transport. I was supposed to meet your leaders." "Human?" The voice in his head sounded confused. "I am Princess Zarathi of the Xylorian Empire. You have seen me in my sacred form. This is forbidden." Jake could hear her moving around the room. He guessed she was putting on clothes. "I really didn't mean to. Can you tell me when it's safe to look?" "You may turn around now," she said in his mind. Jake turned back. The princess now wore a long dress that looked like it was made of starlight. She was very beautiful, but her face showed anger and fear. "How is your mind hidden from me?" she asked. "All living things have thoughts I can read, but you are like a blank wall." "I don't know," Jake said. "Humans don't have mental powers, like yours." Princess Zarathi walked closer to Jake. Her skin still flashed with colored lights. "This is very strange. When I first saw you, something happened. I felt connected to you." Jake felt it too. There was something between them now, like an invisible rope that tied their minds together. He could feel her emotions, confusion, curiosity, and fear. "The sacred ritual was broken," the princess said. "During the ritual, my mind is open. When you appeared, our thoughts touched. This has never happened before." Before Jake could answer, loud alarms started ringing. Red lights flashed all around. The crystal room. Heavy footsteps ran down the hallway outside. "The guards come," Princess Zarathi said. Her golden eyes looked worried. "They will think you attacked me. Humans are not supposed to be here." The door burst open. 6 tall alien soldiers ran into the room. They had the same purple skin as the princess, but their bodies were covered in black armor. They carried weapons that glowed with blue energy. "Princess, are you hurt?" The lead guard looked at Jake with hate in his yellow eyes. "I am safe, Commander Vex," the princess said out loud. Her voice sounded like music. "But this human has committed a great crime." Jake raised his hands to show he was not dangerous. "Wait!" This was an accident. I'm a diplomat from Earth. Commander Vex pointed his weapon at Jake. Lies! No human can enter the royal ship without permission. You will be executed for seeing the princess in her sacred form. No, Princess Zarathi said quickly. This human is different. Take him to the holding cells. I must speak with the High Council about this. The guards grabbed Jake's arms. Their grip was very strong. As they dragged him away, Jake felt the mental connection with the princess getting stronger. I will try to help you, her voice whispered, in his mind. But I do not know if I can. You have broken our most important law. Jake was pushed into a small cell made of the same blue crystal as the princess's room. The walls were too hard to break. The door sealed shut with no handle on the inside. He sat on the narrow bed and put his head in his hands. This was supposed to be a simple meeting. Now he was trapped on an alien ship, charged with a crime he didn't understand. But the connection with Princess Zarathi was still there. Through it, he could feel her thoughts. She was talking to other aliens, important ones. They were very angry about what happened. Jake learned that seeing a royal family member during their sacred ritual was the worst crime possible. The punishment was always death, no exceptions. He also learned something else. The princess was telling the truth. His mind was completely hidden from their mental powers. To the Xylorians, this made him seem like a dangerous creature. Hours passed. Jake tried to sleep, but the connection with the princess kept him awake. Through her mind, he saw images of the Xylorian Empire. It was huge, with thousands of planets and billions of people. They had been the strongest power in this part of space for over 1,000 years. But something was threatening them. Dark ships at the edge of their territory. An enemy called the Devourers that turned living things into machines. The Xylorian Empire was losing the war. Late in the night, Princess Zarathi came to his cell. She stood outside the energy barrier that kept him trapped. The High Council has decided, she said sadly. You will be executed tomorrow at dawn. Jake stood up and walked to the barrier. Princess, I know about the Devourers. Through our connection, I saw your memories. Maybe humans can help. She shook her head. Humans are too primitive. Your people have barely left your home planet. What could you do against an enemy that defeats our greatest warriors? Maybe being primitive is exactly what you need, Jake said. You said my mind is hidden from you. What if it's hidden from the Devourers, too? Princess Zarathi's eyes went wide. The lights under her skin started flashing quickly. That could be possible. But the Council will not listen. They are too proud to ask for help from a species they see as animals. Then we need to show them, Jake said, before it's too late for both our peoples. The princess looked at Jake for a long moment. Through their connection, he felt her making a decision that would change everything. Sleep now, human Jake Martinez, she said. Tomorrow will bring great danger for us all. As she walked away, Jake knew his real mission was just beginning. Jake woke up to the sound of explosions. The crystal walls of his cell shook, red lights flashed everywhere, and a loud alarm rang through the ship. Princess Zarathi ran to his cell. Her dress was torn, and there was fear in her golden eyes. The Devourers are here! They found our fleet! Let me out, Jake said. I can help! The princess looked unsure. The guards will kill you if they see you free. Another explosion rocked the ship. This one was much closer. Through the mental connection, Jake felt the princess's terror. The Devourers were not just attacking. They were winning. "Your people are dying," Jake said. "What do you have to lose?" Princess Zarathi pressed her hand against a crystal panel. The energy barrier around Jake's cell disappeared. "Come, but stay close to me." They ran through the crystal hallways of the ship. Xylorian soldiers rushed past them, carrying wounded comrades. Jake saw alien technology he had never imagined. Walls that showed battle scenes from space, weapons that grew from the floor when needed. "How many ships do the Devourers have?" Jake asked as they ran. "Too many," the princess replied. "They do not build ships. They take ours and change them into their own." They reached a large room filled with glowing screens. This was the bridge of the ship. Xylorian officers worked at stations that looked like living creatures made of light. In the center stood an old alien with silver skin and tired eyes. "Father!" Princess Zarathi called out. The old alien turned around. He was the emperor of the Xylorian Empire. When he saw Jake, his face filled with anger. "Why is this human not in chains?" the emperor demanded. "The Devourers are jamming our telepathic network," the princess said quickly. "This human's mind is hidden. He might be able to help us communicate." Before the emperor could answer, a new voice spoke from the main screen. It was cold and emotionless. "Xylorian vessel, this is Devourer Unit Prime. You will surrender now. Your biological matter will be processed. Your consciousness will be added to our collective." On the screen appeared a creature that had once been alive but was now part machine. Metal tubes ran through its purple skin. Its eyes glowed with artificial light. It had been a Xylorian once. The Emperor's face went pale. "Commander Thys, you were our greatest warrior. How could you join them?" "I did not join them," the creature replied. "I was improved. All fear is gone. All pain is gone. Only purpose remains. You will experience this gift soon." The screen went dark. Around the bridge, Xylorian officers looked at each other with horror. Their greatest hero had become their enemy. "My lord," one officer said, "our weapons cannot break through their shields. They have adapted to all our attacks." Jake stepped forward. "Your Majesty, I know you don't trust humans, but my ship is out there somewhere. If we can contact them, they might have ideas you haven't tried." The Emperor looked at Jake with disgust. "Primitive human weapons against Devourer technology? Impossible." "Not weapons," Jake said. "Strategy. Humans fight differently than you do. We're unpredictable." Princess Zarathi touched her father's arm. "The human mind cannot be read. If the Devourers cannot predict him either—" Before the Emperor could answer, another explosion shook the ship. This time, parts of the ceiling fell down. Several officers were hurt. "Hull breach on Deck 7, someone shouted. "The Devourers are boarding us." Jake heard familiar sounds through the ship's communication system. Human voices shouting orders. "Gunfire! That's my crew!" Jake said excitedly. The main screen showed the space battle outside. 3 human ships fought alongside the Xylorian fleet. They were much smaller than the alien vessels, but they moved in ways that confused the Devourer ships. "Captain Romano," Jake said to himself. "She came for me." Princess Zarathi heard his thoughts through their connection. "You care for your crew. This is good. The Devourers cannot understand caring." On the screen, Jake watched human tactics in action. Instead of fighting with honor like the Xylorians did, the human ships used tricks. They hid behind asteroids, attacked from unexpected directions, and worked together in ways the Devourers couldn't predict. "Your people fight like cowards," the Emperor said with anger. No, Jake replied. We fight like survivors. A new voice came over the communication system. This is Captain Lisa Romano of the Earthship Liberty. Any Xylorian vessels, please respond. We're here to help. The Emperor looked surprised. They came to help us. Why would primitives risk their lives for strangers? Because that's what humans do, Jake said proudly. Princess Zarathi used her telepathic powers to contact the human ships. But when she tried to reach the human minds, she found the same blank walls that Jake had. I cannot speak to them mentally, she said with surprise. All humans are hidden like you. Jake moved to the communication station. Let me talk to them. Jake. Captain Romano's voice came through clearly. Thank God you're alive. We tracked your signal, but something's jamming our transporters. Captain, the Devourers can read alien thoughts and predict their moves, but they can't read human minds. We have an advantage. There was a pause. Understood. What do you need us to do? Jake looked at the Emperor and Princess Zarathi. Work together. Combine human unpredictability with Xylorian technology. The Emperor shook his head. Our races are too different. We cannot coordinate properly. Yes, we can, Princess Zarathi said suddenly. She looked at Jake with understanding. Through him. The human can connect with me mentally. I can relay his thoughts to our fleet. Jake felt the connection between them grow stronger. Suddenly, he could sense the entire Xylorian battle fleet through the princess's mind. It was overwhelming. Hundreds of ships, thousands of crew members, all connected by telepathic links. I can see your whole fleet, Jake said with amazement. And they can't see me. Through Princess Zarathi, Jake began coordinating the battle. He told human ships where to attack while Xylorian vessels provided covering fire. He sent Xylorian fighters to protect human bombers. Most importantly, he kept changing the plan so the Devourers couldn't adapt. The tide of battle started to turn. Devourer ships that had been winning suddenly found themselves confused and outmaneuvered. Their logical thinking couldn't keep up, with human creativity guided by Xylorian telepathy. But Jake was getting tired. The mental strain of coordinating so many minds was enormous. Princess Zarathi was suffering too. Her skin flickered weakly, and she could barely stand. The link is too strong, she whispered. Our minds are becoming connected permanently. Jake felt it too. His thoughts were mixing with hers. He could feel her memories, her emotions, even her dreams. And she could feel his. Is that bad? Jake asked. I do not know, she replied. No one has ever formed a permanent mental bond with an alien before. The battle raged around them. Through their shared consciousness, Jake and the princess fought not just the Devourers, but also the growing connection between their minds. If they became too linked, they might lose themselves completely. On the main screen, more Devourer ships appeared. These were bigger than the others, motherships filled with converted prisoners. Jake recognized some of the ships. They had been Xylorian vessels once. There are too many, the Emperor said sadly. Even with human help, we cannot win. Jake felt Princess Zarathi's despair through their link. The Xylorian Empire had ruled the galaxy for 1,000 years. Now it was falling to an enemy that turned their own people against them. But Jake also felt something else through the connection. Deep in Princess Zarathi's mind, he found information about Devourer technology. They had a weakness, a central control system that managed all their ships. Princess, Jake said urgently, I can see their command structure through our link. If we can reach their control ship, it is impossible, she replied. The command ship is in the center of their fleet. We would never get close. Jake smiled. We don't need to get close. We just need to be unpredictable. Through their mental connection, Jake began forming a plan. It was dangerous and might cost them both their lives. But if it worked, they could save both their peoples. The question was, were they willing to risk losing themselves to save everyone else? As more Devourer ships surrounded them, Jake and Princess Zarathi prepared to find out. The largest Devourer ship appeared on the screen. It was massive, bigger than anything Jake had ever seen. The ship looked like a giant metal spider with thousands of legs reaching out in all directions. That is their command vessel, Princess Zarathi said weakly. The mental connection was draining her energy. From there, they control all other ships. Jake studied the enemy formation through their shared link. He could feel the princess's knowledge flowing into his mind. The Devourers moved in perfect patterns, like a machine. Every ship knew exactly what every other ship would do. That's their weakness, Jake said suddenly. They're too organized. How is perfect organization a weakness? The Emperor asked. Jake turned to the communication system. Captain Romano, do you remember the asteroid field training exercise? The one where you broke every rule in the book? Came the reply. How could I forget? Time to break some more rules. Can you get 3 ships to the command vessel? Jake, that thing is surrounded by 50 Devourer ships. It's suicide. Not if we're crazy enough, Jake replied. Through his link with Princess Zarathi, he began explaining his plan. The idea was simple but insane. Instead of fighting the Devourer ships directly, they would create chaos. Human ships would attack in patterns that made no sense. Xylorian vessels would support them in ways that seemed random. The Devourers will try to find the logic in our attacks, Jake explained. While they're busy calculating, we slip 3 ships past their defenses. Princess Zarathi shared the plan with the Xylorian fleet through her telepathic network. Many of the alien commanders thought it was foolish, but they were losing the battle anyway. Begin the distraction, the Emperor ordered. What happened next was beautiful chaos. Human fighters darted between Devourer ships like angry insects. They fired at targets that didn't seem important, then disappeared before the enemy could respond. Xylorian cruisers charged forward, then suddenly turned away for no apparent reason. Jake watched through the princess's mental network as confusion spread through the Devourer fleet. Their perfect coordination started to break down as they tried to predict the unpredictable. It's working, Princess Zarathi said with excitement. Their response time is slowing. Commander Ryan Phillips led the human ground assault team. Jake watched as 3 small ships, 2 human, 1 Xylorian, slipped through the confused enemy formation. They moved like shadows, hidden in the chaos of battle. But the mental strain on Jake and the princess was growing worse. Their thoughts were becoming more mixed together. Jake could feel himself starting to think like a Xylorian. The princess was learning human emotions she had never experienced before. Jake, she whispered, I can feel your memories, your childhood on Earth, your first day in space. I can see your homeworld, Jake replied, the crystal cities, the singing mountains. They were losing themselves in each other's minds, but they couldn't stop now. The distraction was working, but barely. More Devourer ships were arriving every minute. On the screen, Commander Phillips's team reached the command vessel. They attached small bombs to the ship's hull and prepared to beam inside. What are they doing? The Emperor demanded. Taking out the control center, Jake said. If we can disrupt their central command, all their ships will be confused. But something went wrong. As the human team prepared to enter the ship, Devourer forces surrounded them. Their small ships were trapped. "Ryan's in trouble," Captain Romano said over the communication. "We need to extract them now." "Negative," came Phillips's voice. "We're going through with the mission. Tell my wife I—" The communication cut off. On the screen, Jake saw energy weapons destroying one of the human ships. Commander Phillips and his team were trapped inside the enemy vessel. Princess Zarathi grabbed Jake's arm. "We have to help them." "How?" Jake asked. "We're too far away." The princess looked at him with determination. "Not physically, mentally. If we combine our consciousness completely, we might be able to reach them through the Devourer network." Jake understood what she meant. If they merged their minds totally, they might be able to hack into the Devourer collective consciousness. But doing so would mean losing their individual selves forever. "Are you sure?" Jake asked. "Your friend is dying for our people," the princess replied. "It is the least we can do." Jake nodded. They sat down facing each other and joined hands. The mental connection between them exploded into something much larger. Suddenly, Jake could see through every Xylorian ship at once. He felt the fear and courage of thousands of alien warriors. At the same time, Princess Zarathi experienced human emotions, determination, love for friends, willingness to sacrifice for others. Together, their combined consciousness reached out toward the Devourer command ship. They felt the cold, logical minds of the enemy collective, but they also found something unexpected. Deep in the Devourer network, they discovered traces of the original minds. The beings who had been converted weren't completely gone. They were trapped, screaming silently inside their mechanical bodies. "They're still alive!" Princess Zarathi gasped. "All of them! Still conscious, but unable to control their actions!" Jake felt sick. The Devourers weren't just killing people. They were forcing them to watch as their bodies were used to destroy their own families and friends. Through the network, they found Commander Phillips. He was fighting inside the command ship, but Devourer forces were closing in. His team was down to 3 people. Jake and the princess reached out with their merged consciousness. They couldn't control the Devourer machines directly, but they could do something else. They could wake up the trapped minds inside them. "Remember who you were," Jake projected into the network. "Remember your families, your homes. Fight back." Princess Zarathi added her telepathic power to his message. "You are more than machines. You are living beings with the right to choose your own path." Across the Devourer fleet, something incredible happened. The converted minds began to fight back against their programming, not physically, but mentally. They couldn't regain control of their bodies, but they could slow down their responses. Devourer ships began to hesitate. Their perfect coordination faltered as internal battles raged in every converted mind. Commander Phillips's team reached the control center. They planted their explosives and began to retreat. But more Devourer forces blocked their escape route. "Jake," Princess Zarathi said urgently, "we can save them, but we'll have to give up more of ourselves to do it." Jake felt their merged consciousness expanding even further. He was losing track of where his thoughts ended and hers began. Soon, they might not be Jake and Zarathi anymore, but something entirely new. "Do it," he said. Their combined mental power reached out to every trapped mind in the Devourer fleet. For just a moment, they gave those minds control of their bodies again. The effect was immediate. Devourer ships began firing on each other. Mechanical soldiers stopped attacking and stood motionless. The perfect order of the enemy fleet collapsed into chaos. Commander Phillips and his team escaped in the confusion. Their explosives detonated, sending waves of disruption through the Devourer network. Without central coordination, the enemy ships began to drift apart. But the victory came at a cost. Jake could barely remember his own name. Princess Zarathi's memories were mixing with his until he couldn't tell which life was his. They were becoming something new. Neither human nor Xylorian, but both. "We did it," the princess whispered, her voice echoing in their shared mind. "Yeah," Jake replied, struggling to hold on to his individual thoughts. "But what are we now?" Around them, the battle was ending. Devourer ships retreated or shut down completely. The combined human-Xylorian fleet had won. But Jake and Princess Zarathi had paid the ultimate price. They were no longer entirely themselves. The Emperor approached them cautiously. "Princess? Are you still my daughter?" She looked up at him with eyes that held both human determination and Xylorian wisdom. "I am your daughter, but I am also something more now." Jake felt the same way. He was still human, but he carried alien memories and alien ways of thinking. The mental merger had changed them both permanently. Dr. Amy Foster, the mission's xenopsychologist, arrived with the human rescue team. She looked at Jake with concern. "Lieutenant Commander, your brain scans are unlike anything I've ever seen." "I feel different," Jake admitted, "like I'm seeing the universe through two sets of eyes." "Princess," Zarathi nodded. "The connection cannot be broken now. We are linked forever." As the fleets regrouped and counted their losses, Jake and the princess faced an uncertain future. They had saved both their peoples, but at the cost of their individual identities. The question now was, what would become of the first human-Xylorian hybrid consciousness in the galaxy? 3 days after the battle, Jake sat in the medical bay of the Xylorian flagship. Dr. Amy Foster ran tests on his brain while Princess Zarathi watched from nearby. The princess looked tired, and the lights under her skin flickered weakly. "The neural pathways are completely new," Dr. Foster explained to Captain Romano. "Jake's brain is processing information in ways that should be impossible for humans." Jake could hear everything, but he felt distant from it all. Inside his mind, he was having conversations with Princess Zarathi, even when she wasn't speaking out loud. Her thoughts, memories, and emotions flowed through him like a river. "How do you feel?" Captain Romano asked Jake. "Like I'm two people, sharing one existence," Jake replied. "I know things I never learned. I remember places I've never been." Princess Zarathi walked over to them. "The connection grows stronger each day. Sometimes I forget which memories are mine and which are his." The Emperor entered the medical bay with several Xylorian advisors. His face showed worry and confusion. "My daughter, the High Council is concerned. You are no longer purely Xylorian. How can you rule our people someday?" "I am still your daughter, Father," the princess said. "But I understand both species now. Isn't that better for everyone?" Before the Emperor could answer, alarms started ringing again. Everyone rushed to the bridge, where terrible news waited for them. "The Devourers have regrouped," reported Commander Vex. "They're attacking our colonies on the rim worlds. But these attacks are different, more desperate." On the main screen, they watched recordings from the attacked worlds. The Devourers were no longer trying to convert people. They were simply destroying everything they found. "They're afraid," Princess Zarathi said suddenly. "When we woke up, the trapped minds, we damaged their collective consciousness. Now they're angry and scared." Jake felt the same understanding through their link. They know they can't win through conversion anymore, so they're trying to eliminate all organic life. Admiral Karen White contacted them from the human fleet. "We've lost contact with 3 Earth colonies. The Devourers hit them without warning." The room fell silent. Both humans and Xylorians were watching their worlds burn. "We need a permanent solution," Captain Romano said. "We can't fight them forever." Jake stood up, feeling Princess Zarathi's thoughts mixing with his own. "There might be a way, but it's dangerous." "What do you mean?" the Emperor asked. "The ball. Devourers were once organic beings like us," Jake explained. "Deep in their network, those original minds are still trapped. What if we could free them all at once?" Princess Zarathi nodded, understanding his plan through their mental link. "A massive telepathic pulse. But it would require us to merge our consciousness even more completely." Dr. Foster looked alarmed. "Jake, you're barely holding on to your individual identity now. If you merge further, you might lose yourself completely." "And what about our peoples if we don't?" Jake replied. "How many more worlds will burn while we're safe on these ships?" The debate continued for hours. Some wanted to find another way. Others thought the risk was too great. But the attacks kept coming. More worlds fell to the Devourers every day. Finally, Colonel Brad Stevens arrived with news that changed everything. He had been leading ground forces on the attacked worlds, trying to evacuate civilians. "It's not just random destruction," Stevens reported. "The Devourers are looking for something specific. They're searching every building, every computer system." "What are they looking for?" Princess Zarathi asked. "Us," Jake said with sudden understanding. "They're looking for the source of the telepathic disruption. They want to eliminate the hybrid consciousness that's been causing them problems." The Emperor's face went pale. "They're hunting my daughter." "And Jake," Captain Romano added grimly. Jake felt Princess Zarathi's fear through their link, but also her determination. "Then we should give them what they want," she said quietly. "No," the Emperor shouted. "I won't sacrifice my daughter." "With respect, Your Majesty," Jake said, "this isn't about sacrifice. It's about ending this war before everyone dies." Colonel Stevens activated a holographic display showing the Devourer fleet movements. "They're converging on this sector. Every ship they have is coming here." "How long do we have?" Admiral White asked. "Maybe 6 hours," Stevens replied. Jake and Princess Zarathi exchanged a look. Through their mental connection, they held an entire conversation in seconds. "We can do this," the princess said out loud. "If we merge completely, we can create a telepathic pulse strong enough to reach every devourer in the galaxy." "But you'll die," Dr. Foster protested. "Your individual consciousness will be lost forever." "Maybe," Jake said. "Or maybe we'll become something new. Something that can bridge the gap between all species." The debate might have continued, but new alerts interrupted them. The Devourer fleet had arrived early. Hundreds of ships surrounded the combined human-Xylorian force. "All ships prepare for battle," Admiral White ordered. But Jake knew this battle would be different. The Devourers weren't trying to convert or capture anymore. They wanted to destroy everything, especially him and the princess. "They're jamming our communications," reported one of the Xylorian officers. "We can't coordinate between ships." Jake felt the telepathic network of the Xylorian fleet flickering and dying as Devourer technology blocked it. Soon, each ship would be fighting alone. "This is our chance," Princess Zarathi said to Jake. "While they're focused on jamming our network, we can slip into theirs." Jake nodded. They sat down together in the center of the bridge, ignoring the battle raging around them. Everyone watched as they joined hands and closed their eyes. The merger was immediate and overwhelming. Jake felt his consciousness expanding beyond anything he had imagined. He was no longer just human, and Princess Zarathi was no longer just Xylorian. They became something entirely new. Through their expanded awareness, they reached into the Devourer network. They felt millions of trapped minds crying out for freedom. Organic beings from dozens of species, all converted and enslaved by the collective. "Can you hear us?" they projected into the network. The response was immediate. Every trapped mind in the Devourer collective felt their presence. Hope began to spread through the network like fire, but the Devourer leadership noticed them too. Cold, mechanical intelligences that had long ago abandoned organic thought turned their attention to the hybrid consciousness. "You will be processed," the collective declared. "Your unique patterns will be studied and eliminated." "We're not here to be processed," Jake and the princess replied as one. "We're here to set everyone free." The telepathic battle began. It wasn't fought with weapons or ships, but with pure thought and will. The Devourer collective tried to overwhelm them with logical arguments, mathematical proofs of the superiority of mechanical existence. But Jake and Princess Zarathi fought back with something the Devourers couldn't understand: emotion, creativity, and the power of free choice. Across the galaxy, trapped minds began to break free from their programming. Devourer ships stopped attacking and turned on each other as their crews remembered who they had been. The hybrid consciousness felt itself changing, growing, becoming something beyond either human or Xylorian understanding. They were losing their individual selves, but gaining something much larger. As the telepathic pulse spread throughout the universe, Jake's last coherent thought was a question. Would they still be themselves when this was over? The battle for the freedom of every organic mind in the galaxy had begun, and the price of victory was still unknown. Jake opened his eyes slowly. He was lying in a bed in the medical bay, but something felt different. The world looked brighter, more detailed. He could hear conversations happening 3 rooms away. "Jake?" Dr. Foster's voice came from beside him. "How do you feel?" Jake sat up carefully. His body felt the same, but his mind was changed forever. "I feel complete," he said, "but also separate." "Separate from what?" Dr. Foster asked. "From Princess Zarathi," Jake replied. "We merged completely during the telepathic pulse, but somehow we managed to separate again, though we're still connected." Across the room, Princess Zarathi was sitting up in her own bed. Her golden eyes met Jake's, and he felt a warm presence in his mind. Not overwhelming like before, but gentle and comforting. "The connection is still there," she said, speaking both out loud and in his thoughts. "But we are ourselves again." Captain Romano walked into the room with a big smile on her face. "You two did it. The entire Devourer fleet has shut down. Their victims are free." Jake felt a wave of relief and happiness. Through his link with the princess, he experienced her joy as well. It was like feeling an emotion twice, but in 2 different ways. "What happened to the converted beings?" Princess Zarathi asked. That's the best part, Dr. Foster said excitedly. When your telepathic pulse freed their minds, their bodies began to heal automatically. The mechanical parts are falling off like old skin. They're becoming organic again. Admiral White entered the medical bay with news from the human fleet. Earth wants to offer you both the highest honors we can give. You saved not just our species, but every organic life form in the galaxy. The Emperor appeared in the doorway, with tears in his eyes. My daughter, I am so proud of you. The High Council has voted unanimously. Humans will be given full membership in the Galactic Council. Jake felt surprised and honored. Just like that? After one battle? Not just one battle, the Emperor explained. You showed us something. We had forgotten. Different ways of thinking are not weaknesses. They are strengths. Humanity's unpredictability, combined with our technology, created something neither species could achieve alone. Over the following weeks, Jake and Princess Zarathi worked together to establish new relationships between their peoples. Jake's unique position as the first human with a permanent telepathic connection made him the perfect ambassador. Lieutenant Angela Clark was assigned to help create communication protocols between species. It's amazing, she told Jake. With your help translating between human and Xylorian thinking, we're solving problems that have existed for centuries. Engineer Tony Rodriguez worked with Xylorian scientists to develop new technologies. Human creativity combined with alien knowledge produced advances that neither species had imagined. We're not just sharing technology, Rodriguez explained to Jake. We're sharing ways of thinking about problems. It's revolutionary. Jake found his new role challenging but rewarding. He could understand both human and Xylorian perspectives, which made him valuable as a mediator. The mental connection with Princess Zarathi helped him navigate complex diplomatic situations. Sometimes I wonder who I really am now, Jake told the princess during one of their planning sessions. Am I human? Am I something else? You are Jake Martinez, she replied gently. You carry additional knowledge and abilities, but your core identity remains unchanged. I know, because I can feel it through our link. The princess faced similar challenges. Some Xylorians worried that her connection to a human made her unfit to rule. But her father supported her completely. You have become what our empire needs. Most, the Emperor told her publicly. A bridge between different ways of life. When you become Empress, you will lead not just Xylorians, but a true galactic community. Months passed. The former devourer worlds were healing. The freed minds were adjusting to organic life again. Many chose to stay in space, working to rebuild what had been destroyed. Others returned to their home planets to reunite with families. They thought they had lost forever. Commander Ryan Phillips, who had survived the mission inside the Devourer command ship, was promoted to colonel. I can't believe we pulled it off, he told Jake. When I was trapped in that ship, I felt hopeless. Then suddenly all the enemy soldiers just stopped fighting. That was the moment the trapped minds broke free, Jake explained. Every converted being remembered who they used to be. The changes weren't just political. Jake discovered that his connection with Princess Zarathi was affecting other humans, too. People who spent time around them began developing limited telepathic abilities. Dr. Foster studied the phenomenon carefully. It seems that exposure to your hybrid consciousness is causing evolutionary changes in both species. Nothing dangerous, just expanded mental capabilities. Is that good or bad? Jake asked. It's evolution, Dr. Foster replied. Both species are becoming something new, something better. A year after the battle, Jake stood in the same crystal. chamber where he had first met Princess Zarathi, but this time he entered by invitation. The princess wore ceremonial robes for the occasion. She was about to be crowned Empress of the Xylorian Empire. "Are you nervous?" Jake asked her through their mental link. "No," she replied. "With you as Earth's ambassador, I know our peoples will continue to work together." The ceremony was beautiful. Representatives from dozens of worlds attended, including many former Devourer victims who were now free. Jake stood with the human delegation, proud to represent his species at such an important event. When Princess Zarathi became Empress Zarathi, her first official act was to establish the Galactic Cooperation Council. Humans were given a permanent seat, along with all the other freed species. "Today begins a new age," the new Empress announced, "not just for the Xylorian Empire, but for all organic life. We have learned that our differences make us stronger, not weaker." After the ceremony, Jake and Zarathi walked through the crystal gardens of the Imperial ship. They talked about the future, new worlds to explore, new species to meet, new challenges to face together. "Do you ever regret what happened?" Jake asked. "The way we met, the mental connection, everything that changed?" Zarathi smiled. "How can I regret something that saved the galaxy? Our embarrassing first meeting led to the greatest cooperation between species in history." Jake laughed. "I suppose getting transported into the wrong room was the best mistake I ever made." They stopped at a viewing window that showed both the human and Xylorian fleets working together in space. Ships from both species moved in coordinated patterns, their crews learning from each other. "What do you think comes next?" Zarathi asked. Jake felt her curiosity through their link, mixed with his own excitement about the future. "Whatever it is, we'll face it together. Humans and Xylorians, working as partners." "Partners," she agreed. "That sounds much better than the alternative." As they watched the stars, Jake realized that their story was just beginning. The embarrassing accident that brought them together had become the foundation for a new era of galactic peace. The alien princess was no longer shocked by his presence. Instead, she was his closest ally and friend. Together, they would guide their peoples into a future full of possibilities that neither species could imagine alone. The universe was vast and full of wonders waiting to be discovered, and humanity had finally found its place among the stars.